My name is Ed Trotta. I live in Pleasantville. We have a business in Thornwood, Trotta's Pasta. We've been there 40 years. This year will be 40 years. Basically a pasta shop that has grown into many other things. We do mozzarella, obviously, sausages. The business started out predominantly just supplying restaurants, and literally people used to knock on the window asking if they could buy products. Took the lead, gradually opened up a little retail store, business still predominantly supplying restaurants, and the farmers market, which has become a large part of our business. Today what we're going to do is we're going to have a little demonstration about making mozzarella. Making mozzarella is really not the right term. What we're going to do is we're going to pull mozzarella, stretch mozzarella, form mozzarella. What we're going to start off with is curd. If you wanted to take it right from the beginning, what you would have to do is get whole milk. This particular curd is used with rennet. Rennet is a natural enzyme that's in a cow's stomach, I believe, or intestines. That causes it to curdle, the milk to curdle, which separates the rennet from the whey. You could also create curd by adding lemon or vinegar, anything acidic that will cause milk to curdle. You could eat the curd. I think it's great. I mean, I probably eat more curd while I'm making the mozzarella than the actual mozzarella. It's got solidity to it. It's kind of like tofu as far as the feel. You could eat it like this. A lot of cultures fry it, and or big thing with my daughter is poutine with cheese curd on top. French fries with cheese curd. I mean, all of a sudden that's like a rage. Well, I happen to buy this from a company out of New Haven, Connecticut called Calabro. We've been doing business with them from day one. So we have a relationship of 40 years with them. We also sell it in the store. If anybody's ambitious and wants to try making mozzarella at home, come and get it. It goes by the pound. I believe we sell it $4 a pound. Okay? So that's the curd. This morning, I kind of broke up the curd just to save a little time to expedite everything. Dump it into the bowl. What you're going to do is just kind of loosen it up with the spoon or your hands or whatever. To get it like this, the curd comes in, we get it in two sizes, 10 and 20 pound blocks. So what we do is we have a bin, obviously much bigger than this, and what we do is we place on top of it what they call a citate. Basically, it's just a very simple apparatus. It has a frame. It used to be wood, but with all health codes and everything now, it's stainless steel, and it has strings run through it, like a guitar. And what you do is you get the cheese curd and you push it through, and it kind of slices the curd up. And then what we do is crumble it to give it a nice kind of, small pieces, something that you could work with. This water is about 100 degrees. What we're going to do is we're going to add the water to this and kind of just get it working. We're going to pour it on the outside. Kind of gently with the spoon or with your hands, just work it around.
How much does a pound of that curd make?
You yield about 80%. So in other words, these containers were exactly a pound. When we're finished, the mozzarella should weigh about 3/4 of a pound, give or take. All right, you do lose a little bit through the milk.
So what should we be aiming for?
No, right now you're just kind of working it a little bit. Try to get just the water out, leaving as much curd as possible. That container has just a little bit of salt, and that's going to be our curing solution. So when the mozzarella is all shaped, we're going to put it in there. You're probably going to want a little bit of water in there because when you put the boiling water in, it's going to be way too hot to work. Okay, we're just waiting on the water to get nice and hot. If you put the water in too cold, it never reaches that texture that you want, that nice silkiness, that smoothness. When it's too hot to put your hand in it, it's right.
What's the
Yes?
difference between the fresh mozzarella and the other kind that you buy?
In the supermarket?
I know which one I like better, but...
Well, you know what, it's interesting because it depends on what you're going to do with it. I mean, we sell both in the store. The other one we don't actually make, we buy. We just refer to it as loaf mozzarella or pizza mozzarella. And it has a purpose. And if you were doing like a Parmesan or something like that, or a pizza, Sometimes it's actually the better product for that purpose. The mozzarella that we're going to make here, it's really too delicate, and you really want to enjoy it as it is. If you're going to start doing different processes to it and putting it on, chicken cutlet or whatever, it's really not the right cheese. I mean, you could do it, but I kind of feel like it's a waste. It's overkill. And then the other thing is, if you're making pizza with this, because it's such high moisture, your dough is going to get very soggy. You can use it. When I do it on my own pizzas at the house, what I would do is I cut it up, I kind of pre-bake the pizza, and then at the last minute I'll just put a little bit on. And what's the exact difference? That I couldn't tell you. I guess it's just in the processing. It's much, much drier. So then when we add the boiling water, what you're going to do is you're going to kind of work it, and like I explained before, it's going to be kind of like pulling bread dough, all right? And see how it's very like cubed. That's going to all disappear.
Excuse me? What was the? You've added water to it and then got rid of it. What's happened to the mozzarella?
Right now it's just it's softened, but it's not. It doesn't have that elasticity yet. Right now, if you tried to work it, it would be very, very lumpy.
How much do you make a day in your shop?
In the store, for a normal day, we use like a 10-pound curd, so we only get maybe a dozen mozzarellas. On the weekend, when we do the farmer's market, during the peak, when the tomatoes, it's funny how it's all relative. When the tomatoes are at their peak, I mean, we do the Larchmont and the Pleasantville market, we probably do about 100 pounds. Yeah, so, and I keep on telling people, you can have mozzarella without a tomato. It's great with the tomato, but you can have it other ways too. But it's just funny. And as the tomatoes start ending, then the sales go down also.
Give us ideas. What else do you do? Roasted peppers.
Roasted peppers, just on a piece of bread
Tomatoes
with a little olive oil, whatever. I mean, I'll stand in the kitchen with the knife cutting it while I'm thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner. Just make a nice cheese platter. It's good to have an assortment of hard cheese, soft cheese.
So, Eddie, how much does it cost, like, for a pound?
What we sell it for?
Yeah.
At the store and at the farmer's market, we get $9.99 a pound. We also make bocconcino, which are the tiny ones, and ciliegini, which are really, really tiny, like a cherry. Those we do kind of during the summer when we do like a salad with olive oil and fresh basil and fresh tomatoes. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to work it with the spoon. Just keep on turning it over. Pull it and kind of work it on the spoon itself. These lumps, you don't want that. You want it to be nice and smooth. It just gets tough. All right, what you want to have is a nice silky look to the mozzarella, and you want it to be nice and smooth. What you're going to do is you're going to kind of just turn it into itself. There you go. It just starts getting tough. It doesn't stick together anymore.
Can you talk about the salt, please?
The salt?
Yeah, what that does.
People add salt to the curd. We don't. I just put, it was probably like a teaspoon into the water, just to kind of, it actually cures it a little bit. So that's where you get your shelf life on the cheese. The salt does act as like a preservative.
And how long does it last once you buy it?
In the refrigerator, covered with water.
Yeah.
You'll get 5 days, no problem. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes, you can. You would do it right now. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually make a sheet, and we're going to fill it. But what you can do is at this stage, you could add anything. And I do have some samples that I brought. We have olives, we have crushed red pepper, we have herbs. And what you would do is you would mix it right into this. So we've all seen the cheese at the supermarket, like Pepito with the pepper in it. Basically, that's what it is. You just add it and you kind of work it in as you're going. So, I mean, you could put nuts in it. You could do a lot of things. You get some like traditionalists that will say, oh, no, you can't do that. You know, but we're beyond that. And that's the fun of it, really. You know, to make just one thing all the time gets a little monotonous. I brought some gabagol from our store. What I'm going to do is just kind of layer it here. What I want to do is I want to go right to the ends, so it's nice and full. Lay that down, and we're going to roll this up, kind of like jelly roll style. This makes it a great appetizer. You let this cool down, and then you slice it, and you lay it out, and they're really beautiful. You could do anything. Everybody does mozzarella with prosciutto. We do eggplant, fried eggplant, roasted pepper, and fresh basil.
Could you make that out of the balls you just made?
Well, it's the same thing. It's the same process.
Could you flatten
You really should flatten it before you form it. To take that now and kind of press it down, does it really work? And these are just some of the examples. This is a simple braid. We call it treccia. And what you do is you kind of make a rope and then just braid it as if you were braiding anything else. This is olive and hot pepper mixed together. So when the cheese curd is in the water and you're finishing up, you're almost done with the process, you would add your mix and kind of gradually work it into the cheese. And then make the rope and braid it again. This is just hot pepper. This one is olive. These are the rolls. Yeah, and we have pepperoni, prosciutto, gabagol. Anybody have any questions?
If I buy a pound of curd today, how soon do I need to make it into fresh mozzarella?
Again, about a week refrigerated. Yeah, it stays for a while.
In terms of tools, we need a metal bowl, a wooden spatula.
Actually, a glass bowl works better.
A glass bowl,
Yeah,
a wooden spatula, and hot water.
That's it, and salt. I hope I was informative. I hope I made a few customers. You know, we could always use customers, more customers.